great to see you. And this is like our second edition on the journey so far. And this edition is about getting people who are already in the industry in cybersecurity, have them share their journey to encourage those that are upcoming,
Hmm.
in case people get tired on the way, they feel like they can't do it. We want them to hear other people's story and know that it's very possible. Every other person started from somewhere. So, as you know, this is our guest for today. You all know him as Cisco Nerd. And today we'll be sharing his journey, but I have like a couple of questions for him. And I will be starting from the first question. Could you please introduce yourself and your current role in cybersecurity or network security? Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Temitope. I don't know what time to say, but at least good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from anywhere you'll be watching this video from. My name's Theodore Chukwudi. I'm fondly called Chooks. I'm a solutions engineer with Cisco. I'm based off of Lagos, and I'm an easygoing person, and that's me.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's a lot. I've heard a couple of people call you CTO. Why do they call you CTO?
Exactly. So actually, CTO is the acronym from my full name. So my full name, including my surname, is Chukwudi Theodore Onije. So if you take out the first letters from that, it gives you CTO. But I
Oh,
want to be a CTO tomorrow, so
oh,
I mean,
exactly.
it,
Because
it, it comes
this is what,
together. So
yeah, this is what I
yeah,
used to think every time. I never thought about the name. I used to think, oh, CTO, okay, Chief Technical, and
yeah, chief.
it's
Sometimes
good.
people say chief technology officer, chief technical officer, but anyone still goes so far is a chief, behind
Okay,
whatever that comes with it.
okay, that makes sense. So my second question is, what initially sparked your interest in cybersecurity or network security? How did you get started in the field?
So first of all, it was curiosity because um, back in the days when I was in Jos, before job opportunities brought me back, down to the west, which is Lagos. I was one of those script kiddies that sleep in cafes, do all midnight browsing, chatting with the friends on the other side of the world, which is a different time zone. Back in the days of Yahoo Chat, you know. So I had a lot of friends on Yahoo Chat, and you have to make some sacrifices to keep up with them. So which means when we in Africa are sleeping, they are awake. So the best time to interact with them was to, have midnight browsings, and the only time we could do that, properly was during holidays because I schooled in the boarding school all my life, like all my secondary school days. So I schooled in the boarding house. So we barely have internet in school. So it's just during holidays, you catch up with friends, you catch up with, like your online friends in quotes. So that sparked up my curiosity to know what works behind the scene. So I usually ask myself, why would I sit in Nigeria and send somebody a chat and the person over there receives it and we're chatting in real time? Like, how does it work? So it's how does it work that got me here, basically.
Nice. Nice to know that the whole journey started from curiosity. I mean, most of us also in cybersecurity, this we were curious about, how does security work, what is
Mhm.
happening on the other side, and this is how we found ourselves here. And for some people, it seems as if, oh, maybe some people have one big talent somewhere that they digged into. And
Yeah.
but it's good to know that it all started from curiosity. And another question would be, can you maybe quickly walk us through your career path? What does your first role look like? Where were you? Which company took that first shot and I know gave you the job? I'd like to know.
Um, my journey, my journey, my journey, my journey, my journey. Oh my days. If anyway, I'll try and be brief, but I'll also share the entire journey part so that it tends to inspire someone that you know gets to watch this video. So my journey started off being an instructor. Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why. So, um, when I got into the academy, that's after so many um, attempts of getting admission into the university or gaining admission into the university. Um, my friend introduced me to Cisco Networking Academy because according to him, he told me that based off the conversation we're having, that would be the best place for me, and I can tell you that he's still my best friend.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's still my best friend because we both are still in IT, you know. Um, so after completing my CCNA, so something unique happened to me, which is why I took this career path, and decided to hold on, on my first degree until, later. I discovered that we were more hands-on than the regular um, education system. Hands-on in terms of you are taught what a router is in class, but I am configuring what a router is in the lab.
Sure.
So it made sense to it related well with me more than just having to go through books and journals and videos and all of that stuff. So I decided to continue through that career path. So finished my CCNA, got certified in 2013.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, 20 I got certified in 2013. And so the question was, yes, you're certified. Now what next? Right? So, but during my certification, I came across things like VPN, things like control plane policy, which is more like being a police on the internet, device protection, device hardening. And I took interest in it. I was like, no, everybody can be a traffic warder, but who is a security man, right? Which is basically like routing and switching. So me and my friend now decided to go into network security. But before network security, which was CCNS security as at back then, we we decided to train others just as a way to retain what we know and improve on them. So we became instructors for the same academy, which was Unijos, right? So down the line, fast forward to 2015, 2016, we got CCNA security certified. And now that also gave us like the diesel and fuel we needed for CCNP security, right? So now we had another limitation because getting resources for CCNP security was that time a bit difficult because not everybody, took interest in network security. So it was a bit difficult. So we opted to go back to, routing and switching and get our CCNP. So we got our CCNP in 2016, right? But now we became instructors. Now still instructors and getting the CCNP, we became more popular and go-to persons when it came to, Cisco carriers, right? Now, it will interest you to know that we didn't have jobs at that time.
Okay.
So we're surviving off family, other kind of menial jobs and all of that. But I'll tell you something that happened to us that made us very excited. So there was this friend we had. I think they were doing a project in one of the higher institutions in the town in Jos City, and he called I and my best friend to come configure something we've done in class in a real network, like a network that has a service provider. They've plugged in a router, they have a switch and all of that, and we're so excited. So we got there and he gave us the scenario. So you usually tell me what you want to achieve, which is your business requirement. So it's left for me to now turn that business requirement into a solution. So they told us, um, they have an ISP that has given them a service, gave them one IP address, and that IP address is supposed to be their gateway. So now they want every other person to go to the internet using, that service provider.
Mhm.
Obviously, we knew what to do because we've learned it in class. But now this is a real router. You know, we got nervous the first time. I think it was a 1941 router because I could remember that
Okay.
top of my head. Yeah, because it's my first ever job, so it barely leaves my head. It sits rent free in my head. So we got to the environment, we plugged in our console cable, the router came off, we're like, wow. So me and my friend, we sat down, and, I had the laptop on my lap, I was doing the config, he was watching me. So I made a mistake and it wasn't working. So we went back, looked at our config, and obviously, guys, we did the right thing. And next thing, everybody could browse.
Oh, okay.
So they paid us a token. Then they paid us obviously what we agreed. We're paid, what we eventually agreed in the contract. And when we left, my best friend was like, yo, Chooks, we did something.
The money
So
came
this,
out.
yeah. So, that feeling, these were two young boys that, you know, we didn't know we would be able to, make out, you know, um, something from this, so, and so we were pretty excited, so from getting to doing those kind of jobs, whereas we started getting exposed. So I got an employment with a private firm in Jos, that was consulting for the government. I was a network engineer. So my friend got another job in somewhere in Abuja. So he moved to Abuja while I was in Jos. Then um, up to that time, I worked for that company for about 3 years. Then there were some issues that MTN had in Jos, and they needed like a ad hoc engineer to help, do the on-site thing. So someone contacted me, and I was able to now double do that job with my primary 9 to 5 and an ad hoc, because obviously that was extra money for me.
Mhm.
But that extra money was what gave me the contact that that gave me more insight about my role. So I was more exposed. I had a conversation with the guy at that time. I think this was happening in 2017. So he was like, anytime I move to Lagos, you know, um, and I'm opportune to have, settled in, I should give him a call. So I moved to Lagos in 2018. I gave him a call, and that was how I found a job with a partner, with a Cisco partner. So I was with a Cisco partner for from 2019, from 2018, 2019, for about another 3 years, 4 years, thereabout. Then I was doing Cisco projects for the partner in MTN. And then uh, I I got some contacts, here and there in Cisco, and there was an opening, and I applied. That's how I got to Cisco. So it's been an entire journey. It
I
wasn't
mean,
easy.
it's a whole lot. If I
Yeah,
had seen you today, I would never have thought that that's where the journey started from. It's easy when we see, people up there. We just think, oh, maybe they have like, superpower, or they moved in a very different way. But
yeah.
saying that you came from the academy, you got the first job, you were excited about the payments and all of that till
But
you got to
mhm.
where you are today. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
but one other part I must make reference to is, as at then, 10 years ago, um, someone kind of discovered me, and mentored me and gave me that opportunity. But because I wasn't discovering all these resources and having the right direction myself, yes, I read a lot, I do a lot of research, but somebody was actually there, and I must give him credit. I've made up my mind to always give him credit anytime I speak publicly, and which is Abdulaziz Seidu, who happens to be currently my line manager. I know it might
oh,
sound funny.
okay. You guys
Yeah,
found each
he
other again.
exactly. So he discovered me as a student, and in the academy. And Cisco had what we refer to as instructor conference, because then I was an instructor, so I had the privileges to attend an instructor conference and all of that. Yes, so he has been, instrumental to my growth even till today as we speak.
Okay, so of course, for everyone watching this video, as you have heard, you cannot be an island on your own. The place of mentorship is also very important in this career because sometimes, I see a lot of young people in cybersecurity. Sometimes they're like, I'm confused, the field is so big, I don't know which direction to take. But having a mentor who has already gone ahead would help you shape, look at where your strength is, where your weakness is, and the best parts, to take, and all of that. It might not be exactly that you follow every single thing your mentor is saying, but because they know ahead of you, or they've been ahead of you, it's easy for them to, give you directions and help you shape. And thank you for that inspiring story. I mean,
Yeah, thank
I
you.
just want to continue hearing it, and it was really nice to hear myself. The next question that I have is there any big challenge that you faced early in your career, and how did you overcome it? Is there a time you felt like giving up in the career path?
Yes, yes.
Can you please share with us briefly?
Yeah, so the first I will start with is lack of financial resources. It tends to, you know, it has a way of affecting someone's career, whatever career that it is. Because there are things you want to do at some certain time. You have the strength to do it, you have the ability, you have the power to do it. But because the right resources are not there in terms of, it just gets to weigh you down. In 2015, I lost all my certifications
Oh,
because I didn't have the resources to renew, so I lost everything. So I had to go back again and, I took CCNA again, took CCNA security again and got my CCNP. So, and um, this is one thing I will also share is the fact that that thing happened didn't weigh me down, right? Yes, it weighed me down at some point, but getting the job, gave me an opportunity to reinvest, so you must have the attitude of investing in your own self.
yeah,
So you don't have to like wait for a company or all of that. Yes, the company gives you the means in terms of, enabling you financially via salaries and incentives, and all of that. But you have to now be cautious of um taking that returns in terms of money and reinvest in your certifications, which is, which was what got me up my feet. Now, I know one of the things that would usually affect that affected me was also the fact that I didn't have a first degree.
Ah, okay, I see. So it
Yeah,
was
and
academy first.
exactly. So like you must be able to understand that it affected me a lot. Um, and a lot of companies will say a lot of companies will say, oh, you don't have a first degree, you don't have this, you don't have that. So I had to be good at what I was doing.
Yep.
Yeah, so the certification was a an entry point. The certification was a validation that, oh, this guy knows this thing. Right? So you
Mhm.
can't say you're a network engineer and you don't have certifications to back it up, or I'm not saying certifications are a must, but it is good to have,
Yeah, it is
you
good.
know. So like for instance, now I'm pursuing my CCIE. So why should I pursue my CCIE, or why do I want a CCIE? Right? It's because I feel getting the CCIE is that level. CCIE comes with a lot. So there's dedication, there's practice, there's tons of labs, there's reading, so if you put all those things together, right, there's this happiness that comes with it when you achieve it. Now in the industry, there's some settle of there's a level of respect and expectation that comes from that. So if you want those kind of respect and expectations, then you have to get some certain kind of certifications. So I've failed multiple times. I've failed certifications multiple times. So I failed the certification 6 months ago. That's how
Well,
recent. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's good that
Before,
you're sharing with us. I would never have thought.
exactly. So exactly. So even before you go to the CCA, before you attempt the CCIE, there's a core exam you need to write. I failed it. I failed it twice before getting it on the third attempt. So I failed certifications, and I embrace failure. So and failure gives me, failure gives me the failure gives me you know the when I say it sets me on the right path that okay, you miss something here, you miss something there, then go for it the next time, and
Wow.
if you do the right thing, you get it. So I embrace failure.
I mean, it's I think I picked a couple of things from the conversation. The first thing I picked was about resilience. When you saw that the certification ran out, you had to do it again. It's easy for people to give up sometimes, when they get to the
Mm,
very difficult part. And this is one thing that I think most cybersecurity people also advocate, that cybersecurity is not something that will not test you, or network
yeah.
security, or whatever it is. It will always test your ability, your strength, because a lot of things would have to give way if you want to excel in the industry. So
Hmm.
embracing failure if it comes, and then trying it again, having resilience in case you just pick yourself up again and attempt to do it once again. Thank you for sharing also that part with us. So I also have a question here that says
Mm.
that how has your perspective on security generally changed from when you started till now? When you started, what really changed compared to
Yes,
now?
so a lot has changed. A lot has changed. Um, the first thing I'll tell you is evolution of new carriers,
Okay.
then devices. Devices. Back in my days, it used to be like ASA firewall before it became NGFW. It now became firepower, right? And you now have firepower management center, like a lot of things. You now have things like identity service engine. Identity service engine ACS. It used to be ACS before it now became ICE. From ICE, you now have ICE 1.3, ICE 1.4, ICE 2.3, ICE. It's crazy, honestly. And before we used to have things like uh, what's the other name of this solution? There are tons of them, a lot of solutions that are even now AI driven, right? So it has given rise to careers that didn't exist before to exist now, right? So with that, um, the evolution of the field is becoming bigger, and it's giving more opportunities for people to thrive,
So
and just pick a path and just stay on that path.
so if you will really classify security, can we say that security is an ever evolving kind of career path? That
It's
if you are
it's ever
yeah.
it's ever evolving.
Okay, so if you are somebody who believe in, let me just learn this one thing and keep doing it for another 10 years, then security is not for you, right?
It's not for you.
Okay. Okay.
So
I agree.
generally, it's even if you want to expand it in terms of taking it to the bigger scope of technology. What we did 5 years ago, what we did like 6 years ago, is not what we're doing now.
Mhm.
Let me give you just one instance. In Cisco, we used to have, before the new announcement, which takes effect in 2026, it used to be DevNet. So DevNet is like an automation track in Cisco, right? The second certification is CyberOps, right? CyberOps
Mhm.
is another security, operations certification track in Cisco. Both certifications are now revamped. Why? Now the question is why were they revamped? They were revamped because the trend at which technology is going, right? Those certification tracks need to meet the industry standards and the demands in the market. So DevNet is now automation.
Oh, okay.
DevNet is now automation. Why CyberOps is now cyber security.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So those are like two practical examples I can give you.
Okay. That makes sense. So I also have this question. Okay, you've answered the question of having a mentor or a role model in cybersecurity or network security, how it can influence your growth. You mentioned that part even before I asked
Hmm.
the question, that it's very important. And
Hmm.
also, what part of your job do you enjoy the most, and what part do you find the most challenging for people who are interested in
Yes.
network security?
So the part that I found very, very interesting is having conversations with my customers,
Oh, okay.
right? Having conversation with my customers, demoing a solution for them. I find it very interesting. I can be in a demo environment all day, you know. And this is not me convincing you to buy a solution or to just buy a box, but this is me telling you that I'm trying to use this solution to solve your business problem. Because I mean, it's whoever has a problem that seeks a solution. So if you're experiencing things like network breach, unidentified users connecting to your network and accessing workloads, or some solutions that will give you visibility, and um, user classification or user segmentation would take care of that, or traffic segmentation, So it's the most interesting part for me is listening to a customer or taking their problems and turn it into a solution.
I used to
But
think
guess what?
I used to think most technical guys don't like talking to people, but I mean,
Yeah, I know I talk to people a lot because
okay,
because so having conversations will give rise to a lot of things,
sure.
So if you pay attention properly. So when I'm speaking to customers, I pay extra attention. I can be having a casual discussion with someone, but I mean, I don't pay attention. But when it comes to customers, when I hear, oh, Chooks, I have this problem on my network, there my antenna goes, you know, straight to like 7 gigahertz. Now the part I don't find most interesting
Mm.
is I tend to do a lot of trainings.
Oh, okay. Train people.
Sometimes I get, yeah, no, not train people, like train yourself. Yeah,
Ah,
because
okay.
yes, you need to train yourself to stay, but sometimes it can get overwhelming, you know. It can get overwhelming. That's why, you have to take breaks to recharge, and all of that. And um sometimes it also deviates me from like what I'm focusing on right now, right? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I still find out that this training somehow, in the future brings a lot of things together. In as much as like it's not my thing, because I'm doing one thing now, and the next thing the business is saying, oh, you need to do this one,
Yes. You need
So,
to
but
train
at the end of
yourself.
the day, yeah, at the end of the day, it still contributes positively to me demoing those solutions to my customers. Yeah,
I mean, that's amazing to hear that there is a part of your job you love and there's a part that, you find
I struggle with.
challenging.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the final question would be that what advice would you give somebody that is just starting out a career in this industry? I'm sure a lot of people want to hear this part.
yeah. Don't skip the basics.
Okay.
Every advanced technology in cybersecurity revolves around basics.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it revolves around the basics. There is no device, no solution in cybersecurity that doesn't understand IP addressing, that doesn't understand TCP/IP, that doesn't understand, subnet mask or IPv6, right? So the basics are very important. You need to understand protocols because you're ever going to be working with protocols.
Protocols.
Even if a new protocol is introduced, it's still a protocol. So you have to learn the protocol, right?
Okay.
Exactly. So
So what's your take about beginners who rush to do certifications? Because usually we are advocating for skills over certification, but there's this war between what recruiters want. You see them advertise roles and they will say, you should have security plus CISSP and what's your take for somebody who is starting out? Because I see people start out and the first thing they are rushing to do is security plus. And then you ask them some basic questions, they are unable to answer those basic questions. So, what do you
yeah.
see?
So that's the thing. So you have to balance it because you rush to get certifications and you want to get a job, but now you go to the interview and you goof.
Yep.
So my advice here is, or my take here, because I mean, not everybody supports your own opinion,
Yeah.
but my opinion here is there has to be a balance. There has to
Between
be a balance
skills and
between
certificate.
skills and certification. Yes, you might not, so you might not know it all, but our organization is also looking out for somebody that understands at least the basics, depending on the job requirement, and they can train that person, or there's an opportunity for that person to upskill.
Yep.
But if some certain job roles are saying, oh, you must have this, and this, then in as much as you have the skills, you have to get the certification. So let me take you back to when I mentioned I lost all my certifications.
Yep.
Why did I have to get those certifications again? Because I knew that there is this society, classification of I have a first degree, I don't have a first degree. That was my only entry point. That was my only validation, or that was my only evidence of having these skills. So I needed to get those certifications, to show to the HR or to show to whoever, the hiring manager in quotes, that I have those skills. And it is not just having those skills that will tell, but you have evidences in paper to show for them,
Yeah.
which are verifiable. So there has to be a balance between certification and skills. At least certification gives you the entry to getting the interview. Your skills now validate what you have on paper.
Okay. So, I mean, somebody in the past has said something like certification is a proof of what you already know. So it's like you know it, but you need to actually show, the organization, the recruiter that yes, I know it, and there is evidence that I know it.
Yeah, I agree. But what if you get to the interview and it turns the other way around?
Then you don't know it.
They don't know it.
Yeah. So
So there has
yes,
to be a
we
balance.
need
Yeah, it is
balance.
a proof. Generally, it is a proof, but you now have to solidify that proof with,
Certification.
whatever knowledge that comes with it.
Okay. Thank you so much for this interview. It's been
Thank
very,
you very
I mean,
much.
I just want to keep hearing that story because it goes beyond just, oh, we know Cisco Nerd is doing a lot for Cisco right now, but we didn't know how you started. And I think this story would inspire somebody who is just picking up, introduction to cybersecurity. They want to see who have done it before. And thank you. We really appreciate your time. And I'm sure
Yeah,
this
thank you very much.
a lot of people.